What is up all you hardware junkies, this is JayzTwoCents and we're checking out the Define XL-R2 full tower case by Fractal Design. When it comes to the packing, there's nothing really much to say here. They do put a lot of foam protection on this case, so I don't worry about it getting damaged in shipping. Now on the surface, this case does not really appear to be much of a flashy case. Don't let that fool you, there's a lot of design effort that's gone into the appearance of this case. This model is called titanium and the front door is a brushed aluminum and it does have a titanium tint to it. It's very attractive. But the details don't stop there, even the case feet are chrome. The top of the case natively supports either two 120 or two 140mm fans, as well as an optional 120 or 140mm fan mount on the side panel. Take notice though that there is no side window in this case, so if you want to show off the guts of your PC, too bad. The rear of the case has a 140mm fan pre-installed and 9 expansion slots. The PSU does mount at the bottom and it has a rubber ring installed to reduce vibrations from the power supply. Also located in the rear is a fan filter that runs the entire length of the bottom of the case to keep dust from making its way inside your system. But keep in mind, if you have the system close to a wall, it'll be kind of difficult to pull it out. On the top of the case in the front, you will find your headphone and microphone jack, a reset button, a very cool looking power button with an LED ring around it, 2 USB 3.0 and 2 USB 2.0. On the inside of the front door, you'll find 4 5¼ expansion slots and a removable air filter for the front intake fans. You'll also notice some foam on the inside of the door, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Behind the front grille, you'll find a pre-installed 140mm fan, as well as an expansion for an extra 120 or 140mm intake fan, as well as the intake filter, which the fans are mounted to and is toolless removable for easy cleaning. Fractal also includes a 12, 7, and 5V fan selector that can control up to 3 fans, allowing for either performance or silent operation. One of the things that Fractal Design is really known for are their efforts in soundproofing computer systems. The side panels on this case are lined with about 1/8 inch sound deadening material that make the side panels very heavy. Even the unused fan slots in this case are using the same sound deadening material in order to keep dust and sound from making its way in and out of this case. Remember the foam on the inside of the door that we mentioned earlier? Yep, soundproofing material to further make this case as quiet as possible. Fractal definitely didn't leave all of its design innovation only on the exterior of the case. The inside is very roomy. You have 8 hard drive expansion slots and you have a 140mm intake fan pre-installed in the bottom of the case. The front I/O cables are sleeved in black so that they're not very unattractive, but they do leave a little length to be desired. I do, however, recommend moving the 140mm fan to the front of the case for an extra intake. One of the features that I really like about the hard drive cages is that you can remove the middle cage and reinstall it sideways to get better airflow across the intake and into the case. Or if you're not going to install any hard drives in that cage at all, you can always remove it for optimal airflow. One of the things that I find very unacceptable though is the fact that the 5¼ bays are not toolless. I have a hard time with that considering even $50 cases have toolless 5¼ bays today. Now if you're considering going water cooling in this case, you can fit a 240mm radiator up front as well as a 240mm up top. Now keep in mind, in order to fit the radiator up front, you're going to have to remove both hard drive cages, which will require other options for mounting your hard drives. When it comes to motherboard options, it does natively support ATX, Micro ATX, Mini ITX, eATX, and XL ATX motherboards. And all included hardware comes in a box that has every single screw that you could possibly need to install any component. Now it's time for my 2 cents on how I feel about the Fractal Design XL-R2 full tower gaming case. Well, I wouldn't really say it's a gaming case technically. It's more of an elegant case that you would put somewhere that it's going to be seen, where you care about how sleek the case is. You're not interested in showing off your components because there's no side window. But I have to tell you, the sound deadening features of this case are unlike anything I've ever heard. And if you run your fans on the 7V or even the 5V setting on this case, it is absolutely quiet. I've built 4 systems in this case this year alone and have never had anyone be dissatisfied with this case. It's awfully heavy though when you take into account the side panels and the sound deadening material that's inside this case. I don't like the fact that they installed the 140mm fan in the bottom. When you install a fan on the bottom and you're pulling air up from the ground or the carpet or the floor, even though you have a filter there, you're going to pull a lot of dirt in with it. So like I said in the review, I definitely recommend that you take that bottom fan and move it to the front. That way you have 2 intake fans in the front. Unfortunately, the front of this case is very restrictive when it comes to intake fans, especially if you're running the hard drives right behind those fans. I haven't noticed any sort of temperature issues inside the cases whatsoever, including the fact that I was overclocking an AMD 8-core 8350 in one of these with absolutely no issues whatsoever. And that was on air cooling, not water. You can install water cooling in this case, but it's going to be a bit tight up top because there's not a whole lot of room between the top of the case and the top of the motherboard. So you can easily fit a 30mm thick radiator as well as 25mm fans in either push or pull. But push-pull configuration is not going to work with this case, at least not on the top of the case, because you're going to have clearance issues with the motherboard. However, on the front of the case you have plenty of room to do a push-pull radiator configuration. I definitely feel that this case is worth it, and if you're looking for something that's different than your standard flashy, crazy curves, crazy design looking case, this is definitely the way to go. The brushed aluminum front is just sexy as hell, there's no way around it, and it's definitely worth looking at. Every time you walk by this case and you look at it, you're going to look at it and you're going to think, wow, that is just an awesome looking case. The side panels are a little bit boring, especially with the 120 or 140mm intake square on the side, but you can obviously mod the side panel if you want to go that route. But anyway, this has been Jayz2Cents. Thanks for watching this video. Sick or not, I wasn't going to let this review last or go any longer without being brought to you guys because it's already been sitting in my hard drive long enough. As always, show your support by hitting that like button. If you stumbled across my channel, hit that subscribe button. I look forward to seeing you in my future videos. Don't forget I have a Facebook page and I have a Twitter. I'd like to communicate with you guys on there, so hit me up. And as always, I'll see you in my next video when I see you.